Germany, vases, angles, O's, the Bothy now, but that's another one you've broken. That was Fluke, and from their album Haven. They won the Best Group Award at BBC Folk Awards 2006, and they're performing in Ireland, Germany, the Netherlands over the next few months, and also in Scotland at the end of August. They'll be in Ullapool, and our roving reporter Frank Burkitt will be there. This is the Garden Sessions, gardensessions.co.uk. I'm Jack Foster, and joining me as ever, our very own Tortoise and Hare, that being the title of the tune. See, it works better when you say the title of the tune. Our very own Tortoise and Hare, Tom Harland and Dave the Angles Gimble.
Slick as
smoothly done.
What am I going to be? Maybe the hare?
I think, yes, you've been away running around like a crazy animal.
I've been pounding the Folkie Trail. I've been up to the Stonehaven Folk Festival and the Hebridean Celtic Festival back to back.
Didn't the tortoise get the better of the hare in the end in the story?
Well, he did. Well, I might be the tortoise today because I was up at 5:30am this morning in Stornaway in the Isle of Lewis. And so I come all the way back. That's how committed I am to the Garden Sessions cause.
So who knows what you are, Angles? You're one of them. Whichever one is probably the more negative of the two.
Depends on the
circumstance,
is what we've established.
Angles, where can people hear the Garden Sessions?
You can get the Garden Sessions at gardensessions.co.uk, or you can listen to us on Radio Britfolk, radiobritfolk.co.uk, or you can get us on 98.8 anywhere in the Edinburgh area. That's Leith FM, where Leith lives.
Yeah. And what's coming up on the show, Tom?
Well, we've got the Folkie News. It's a bumper Folkie News full of my Stonehaven Folk Festival report. Next show, we'll be bringing you some stuff from the Hebridean Celtic Festival, including...
Hopefully we're going to wheedle an anecdote or two out of you in a moment.
Maybe we'll see. Including a featured artist from the Fraser Fifield next week from the Hebridean Celtic Festival.
Exciting.
We'll also have Dave's angle on this show as ever. Dave, any hint?
First hint is that it's a case of mistaken identity.
Mistaken identity.
A tale of mistaken identity.
There's a lot of songs that could come under that bracket.
I don't think you'll guess this one.
Well, we'll think about it.
It's an old traditional number, yeah.
Actually, it's not. I've snuck in a contemporary one.
Ooh.
Cheeky angles.
Well, we've snuck out 2 hints within the first 10 minutes of the show. That's
We're
quite
doing
something.
well. We'll also have the official Garden Sessions download chart and the letters bag.
Will Jed Miller still be at number 1?
And this week's featured artist. When I returned to the Bothy today after pounding all the way down from Stornaway, our featured artists were in here in the studio. Jack was interviewing them. Jack, who is it?
It's Bobby and Eddie of Rantum Scantum.
Great boys. That should be a good featured artist.
I can tell you it's pretty good. We've got some stuff from their new album, Home Ground.
So we'll be bringing you all the best in new songwriting and traditional folk music over the upcoming hour. Jack, what's up next?
Well, coming up in a minute's the Folkie News, but as you said before, there's no coverage of Hebridean Celtic Festival in it because you're literally just in the door. But people can hope to hear that on the next show.
Yeah, we'll hear some great stuff. Also, there'll be some reviews up on the website. I saw Peatbog Fairies again on Saturday night. They closed the festival. Brilliant stuff.
Tell us a bit about Hebridean Celtic Festival.
Oh, it was a heavy festival. Heavy, friendly people, but a heavy drinking festival. But a very beautiful island, Lewis. I got to see
idyllic.
Some beaches yesterday. Some beautiful white sandy beach.
I was sold on the flyer.
So all that hard work you were doing, Tom, is actually just
been
touring the beaches.
Spent on the beaches. I had my guitar with me, if it's any consolation, Angles. And Andy Chung, former Garden Sessions featured number 1, he was up there as well, and I recorded some of his tunes.
Another a treat to look forward to from the Chung. Well, time for the Folkie News, I think, Tom.
It's news. It's folk.
What is it, Tom?
It's the Folkie News.
And the Folkie News brought to you this week, as ever, in association with Paddy Bort's Wee Folk Club.
Well, every Sunday night at the Oak, we've got the Wee Folk Club at 8:30. An intimate venue, 30 seats, acoustic. It's a great night out. We've got fantastic musicians and singers. Every Sunday night, do come along.
Sunday the 22nd of July at the Wee Folk Club. It's Rachel Doick, who I'm really excited about seeing because I ran into her up at the Hebridean Celtic Festival, and she's a great New Zealand born songwriter in the contemporary folk tradition. Find out more about that at royal-oak-folk.com. This is the Folkie News. The 19th Stonehaven Folk Festival took place from the 5th to 8th July. I was there. I'm suffering for it today, but I was there and spoke to, amongst others, festival coordinator Charlie West, who is a great guy, and asked him what the original ethos behind the festival was and how it's grown over the past 19 years.
I think it started out as a group of friends organising it. It was never set out as a commercial venture, and I think most of the committee are still doing it for fun, even though at times it's jolly hard work, but it's we do it because we like doing it, and that I think spins off in the festival.
Yeah, it comes through. I mean, you've also got a very international mix of visitors to the festival. You've got people from as far afield as Scandinavia. How do you get the word out to these far-flung places about the festival?
Well, these days, of course, the internet makes that quite easy, but I've been with the festival since about the third one, so I mean, in the old days, we used to send flyers out to any kind of Irish bar we could find, or word of mouth counts a lot, and also flyers out. Things like Celtic Connections you get a big spread on. But I mean, yeah, we did have people arriving from Norway thinking they're going to Ireland because they saw a poster in a bar in Bergen or something. But, yeah.
So these posters are turning up all over the place.
We do our best to spread them around, yeah. And I mean, I've got some in a bar in Holland just because I was over there for work one day, and stick them up, why not?
By night and day we'll sport and we'll play and delight as the dawn dances over the bay. Sleep blows the breath of the morning away, and we'll follow the heron home.
I'm joined by Chaz Mackenzie of the band Winging It, who've been gigging the length and the breadth of the country since winning their prestigious Danny Kyle Award earlier this year at Celtic Connections. Chaz, welcome to the Garden Session.
How you doing? It's nice to be here.
Give us some kind of idea of the impact that winning the Danny Kyle Awards had on your band's success and the opportunities that's opened up for you.
Aye, well, it's funny because when we went for it initially, we didn't think we were really folky enough, so we didn't really have an impression of what it was all going to be about. And after the award ceremony, they had a place set up to meet with festival organisers, different agents and stuff, and really from there, there's been a lot of interest. You know, just so we've been up to Orkney Festival since. Obviously, we're doing this one, and this is all off the back of doing Celtic Connections, which is really kind of
support for Dougie McLean as well.
We did a gig with Dougie McLean. I think that was before that. That was over in Burnham. Over in that area, there's a bit of a project on to get music into the community there, and they're putting on a lot of gigs around that area, and that was through that. But yeah, we've just been getting all sorts of interest from here and everywhere, and it's great.
Dear friends, there'll be no sad farewell, there'll be no tear in the eyes, where all is joy and peace and love, and the soul of love never dies.
So I'm outside the Marine Hotel at Stonehaven Folk Festival. I'm joined by Christine Kidd and Barbara Dimmick. Barbara sings with Palaver, and the two of them also formed a band called Sunshine, I believe.
That's right, yes, it means sunshine, more or less, yeah. It's a Scots word for sunshine.
Well, the sun's out at the moment, shining
Yes,
on the
it's
last day of the festival. How have you been enjoying the festival so far?
I've only been here a couple of hours, but what I've seen has been good.
Yeah, I was here for a while yesterday, it was lovely, yeah, it's great. Really nice to be down by the harbour here where the boats are and everything. The sun is shining, so it's fantastic.
Oh, it's a lovely setting for a festival.
It is, it's wonderful.
And will you be taking in the concert tonight? Or?
We may do. We'll just see how we're getting on. But we have busy lives. But we were enjoying singing in the session this afternoon. That's really what we came up for, was just to do some informal singing.
Where can people catch up with you if they want to see you play?
We're in Glenfarg at the Glenfarg Folk Club on the 13th of August.
Wonderful.
And then we're in Aberdeen Folk Club on the 15th of August. And then in Edinburgh, which I think is the catchment area, hello there, I used to live there for years, 18th of August at the Wee Folk Club.
The Wee Folk Club in the Royal
Infirmary Street, yeah.
My home from home.
Is it indeed? Well, and for mine for many years when I lived in Edinburgh, that was where myself and Janet Russell started out. We were the very, very first Folk at the Oak session.
Really?
Me and Janet, yeah. And it's sort of gone on from strength to strength, I think, since then. Yeah.
You have it on the Garden Sessions with some official folk mafia of the Royal Oak. And Barbara, where can people catch up with Palaver?
Well, we haven't actually got very many gigs planned in the near future, but I'm sure we will have. It's just not got no definite dates to give you right at the moment.
Nothing at the moment. Well, we'll keep the eye into that. Well, enjoy the
It'd be great
rest
to see
of your...
people, and if people want to come up and say, we heard you on the garden sessions, do come along to our gigs, and if you want to come up and say that, that'd be nice, and we'll give you a nice smile and say hello.
but just to say, two of my fellow Palaverites, Aileen Carr and Chris Miles, both are to be heard in the TAS every Friday night.
Okay, well, we'll go and catch them in the TAS. Thanks very much for joining us in the garden sessions.
Thanks so much, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks.
As well as festival coordinator Charlie West, you heard in that report. You also heard Chaz McKenzie of Winging It, who are fantastic. Christine Kidd and Barbara Dimmick, and the people who sang that beautiful version of Follow the Heron, Green Pulvert's Follow the Heron, were Sandy Leggett and Maggie Cassie of the band Beggar's Feast. Also apologies for the sound quality during some of that last interview. I evidently got caught in a wee Highland gale.
And you said the sun was out.
The sun was out, but it was windy.
Only in Scotland.
It was windy by the seaside, you know. But one person I made a point of seeking out at Stonehaven was stalwart of the Scottish folk scene and the captain of the ship that is BBC Radio Scotland's travelling folk, the legendary Archie Fisher. I asked him about his Stonehaven experience and just how he has successfully managed to marry the roles of performer and broadcaster over the years.
Well, it's one of these hit and run things, I'm afraid. I'm just here for this evening, then on my way back down south again. It's one of the sad things about most folk festivals nowadays, that you're not booked for the whole weekend, you're just booked for one event, so you can't really hang around and sort of see the other acts. But obviously I'm always interested in seeing everybody.
So as well as a career as a musician, you've also obviously had a career as a broadcaster with BBC Radio Scotland's Travelling Folk. So how do you combine those two roles? How do you find a balance between the musician and the broadcaster? And
it's a great privilege actually to be at the portal of the recording world, if you like, because all the CDs and folk things that are released come through the office, and you tend to be slightly ahead of the game and knowing what's happening. You have to be, you as a broadcaster, you'll know that as well, that you have to listen to a lot of things. You develop a skill which is called skip tracking, where you can just listen to a few bars and you know whether you're going to like it or not. I started off actually working in radio documentary and news, so it was most of the documentaries had music involved in them, so it was a very short step to go to becoming involved in travelling folk.
Archie Fisher at Stonehaven, and you can hear more from that interview in the next episode of the Garden Sessions. Moving on with the Folkie News. It's the biggest arts festival in the world, and it's the one festival that's right here on the Garden Sessions doorstep. The Edinburgh Festival encompasses the Edinburgh International Festival, International Film Festival, Jazz and Blues Festival, Book Festival, Edinburgh Mela, People's Festival, Festival of Politics, and a lot of
festivals.
And the biggest and most successful of all, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, originally set up as a smaller and more accessible alternative to the International Festival, and both of these were started in 1947. The Garden Sessions will be broadcasting weekly throughout to bring you the best in new songwriting and traditional music at this year's Edinburgh Festival.
It's a tough challenge.
We're going to have to take on Edinburgh. That'll be a good few weeks.
And incidentally, Angles, on Archie Fisher's interview, there'll be one of you asking about one of your former Angles, The Witch of the Westmore Land. And he'll give us
a treat in store.
He'll give us some of the gen on that. So keep up to date with all the latest folky news at gardensessions.co.uk/news, and that's the folky news.
We're just moments away from finding out whether Jed Milroy has hung on to the number one spot.
How many weeks did he have number one for?
I think it was 3 shows. That's 6 weeks that he held it.
Goodness.
But yeah, that's coming up soon though. But Angles, give us another clue for your angle. So far we know it's a contemporary song and it's a tale of mistaken identity.
Right. Well, basically, blood is spilled.
Blood spilled.
Through the song.
Okay, so it's folk music.
Yeah,
basically.
well, blood was spilled in your last angle from that poor knight that got mauled by the crows. Yeah.
Well, his blood was spilled
already.
already.
Archie Fisher songs.
Coming up on the show, though, still, as I said before, we have the top 10. We also have the letters bag, and we'll have our featured artists this week, who are Rantum Scantum. So that'll be a treat in store, as well as all the best in new songwriting and traditional folk music as ever. Anyway,
the official Garden Sessions download chart. The official Garden Sessions download chart.
Spill it.
At 10, it's down 4 for Rantum Scantum, this week's featured artist, with Hush. At 9, it's a re-entry for the Laurie Watson 3 with Cape on Tree.
Oh, nice.
At 8, it's down 3 for Frank Burkitt featuring Cassandra Steele with Military Band. And at 7, it's a re-entry for the First Dave Angle, Neil Thompson with Jocko Bradesley.
Johnny got up on a me morning, cried for water to wash his hands. Says, "Gae louse to me, my twa grey hounds, that by in iron bands, that lie in iron bands."
At 6, it's a re-entry for Andy Chung with The Wee Room.
Yes.
At 5,
Chung,
down
Chung.
3 for Chung again with The Penny Falls.
Ooh.
At
Drop it.
4, it's a re-entry for the Laurie Watson 3 again with When Maggie Gangs Away.
Oh, what will all the lads do when Maggie gangs away? Oh, what will all the lads do when Maggie gangs away? There's no hurt in all this glen that does not dread the day. Oh, what will all the lads do when Maggie gangs away?
We've got a remarkable coincidence at number 3 because it's what I use instead of clays when I go shooting. It's Sinead Conway with Eileen Owen.
Angles. Behave yourself.
Angles. That's relatively kind compared to normal, but still.
At 2, it's Father Folk himself, Martin Boland with
on
Dreams
Martin.
in Blue.
At number 2.
At number 2.
Climbing, ever
which
closer.
means no sign of Milroy
no
yet.
sign.
No Milroy.
Is he still at number 1?
Tell us.
No, he's not. It's a
Oh.
re-entry for Neil Thompson again with The Lakes of
Yes.
Pontchartrain.
It was on one bright March morning I bid New Orleans adieu. Took on the road to Jacksontown, my fortune to renew. I cursed all foreign money, no credit could I gain, which had my heart so longing for the lakes of the Pontchartrain. I stepped on board a railroad car underneath the morning sun. We rode and rode till evening time, till it laid me down again. No stranger would befriend me till the dark girl towards me came, and I fell in love with a Creole girl by the lakes of the Pontchartrain. I said, my bonny Creole lass, my money it is no good. If it wasn't for the alligators that sleep here in the wood. Are you welcome here, kind stranger? Our house is very plain, but sure we'd never turn a stranger out on the shores of the Pontchartrain. So she took me home to her Manny's house and treated me right well. The hair upon her shoulder in jet black ringlets fell. To try and paint her beauty, I'm sure 'twould be in vain. For handsome was my Creole girl as the lakes of the Pontchartrain. So I asked her if she'd marry me. She said that'd never be, for she do have another who's far at sea. She said that she would wait for him, and true she would remain, till he'd return to his Creole girl by the links of the Pontchartrain. So fare thee well, my Creole girl, whom I will see no more. I'll never forget your kindness in the cottage by the shore, and at each social gathering a flowing glass I'll drain, and I'll drink a health to my Creole girl and the links of the Pontchartrain.
The official Garden Sessions download chart number 1. It's Neil Thompson, Lakes of the Pontchartrain. What a great guy Neil is as well. What a great performer. And you can catch him in the Oak, I believe. On Friday nights, is it now, Jack?
Friday nights downstairs at the Royal
in the Oak. I've been away from base camp for a while.
Things have changed. There's been a reshuffle.
But you're listening to the Garden Sessions, gardensessions.co.uk. Also available through Radio Britfolk, radiobritfolk.co.uk, and 98.8 FM in the Edinburgh area, Leith FM, where
Leith lives.
What's coming up in the show, Dave?
Well, we've got the Angle coming up shortly, and we've got the featured artist. That's Rantum Scantum. It should be
Bobby
fantastic. The new album, Home Ground, I believe, Jack.
That's what it's called, yeah.
But we've got a special featured artist coming up next time round, I believe, Tom.
Next week, next show rather, it'll be Fraser Fifield, who's a fantastic whistle player, also plays soprano sax. He plays percussion, he plays just about everything. He's a great guy. I ran into him at the Hebridean Celtic Festival. He was playing the opening concert on the opening night, which was called Dacheg, and it was held in the Ann Lanter venue, which is a fantastic kind of venue that's been built for music and film up in Stornaway and Lewis. It had a kind of sort of Celtic connection sort of vibe to it, and I staggered around there rather drunk on several occasions and embarrassed myself.
This has been in your festival romp.
You embarrassed yourself, Tom. That hardly ever happens.
No,
I mean, come on.
never ever happens. But Fraser is a good guy, and I got up extra specially early, 10 o'clock in the morning.
10 in the morning?
Yeah. And
wow.
That's good for festival time.
It is good for festival time to interview him, but even more impressive was that he had enough puff to play his whistles and his saxophones at 10 in the morning, after having watched, I believe, the Moving Hearts the night before, who were the opening act on the main stage.
That sounds like a good featured artist, and that's in 2 weeks' time on episode 36 of the Garden Session.
36, eh?
That's a lot of
I've
episodes.
been doing that this long.
Yeah. But coming up later on, our featured artist this week is, of course, Rantum Scantum. We did all the contact stuff, didn't we? Gardensessions.co.uk, podcast at gardensessions.co.uk. Yeah, it's time for a jingle, and then... It's lovely when it all breaks down, you know? And it just sort of gets to that point.
You keep it going so well, though, Jack.
Dave, it's your bit now. It's Angle time.
It is indeed.
Dissect a traditional song.
No, a contemporary song.
A contemporary song.
I've already told you that much. Yeah, the Angle this time round is Savage Cass, and the song is With Me Tonight.
At night by the dim light he laid her down flat. He said in her ear, "Do you like that?" And she laughed, kissed him and held him in close. "You will sleep here with me tonight. You will sleep here with me tonight." And I can remember the first time we met was the middle of the day. You'd been trying to forget, said I haven't got money, I haven't got long, and everything I do seems to go wrong. She laughed, kissed him, and held him in close. "You the bar, I was already gone. Said I lost what I had, and I don't belong. Waiting around till you came along. Holding hands and promises of hope. Holding hands and promises of hope. That night by the dim light he laid her down flat. He said in her ear, do you like that? And she laughed, kissed him, turned off the light. You'll sleep here with me tonight. You'll sleep here with me tonight.
Gun to her head as he walked through the door. The man said, if I can't have her, you'll love her no more. Hands reaching for her as she fell to the floor. The darkness closed in as he fell before. And that's how they found him, her blood on his hands. Down in the courthouse, an innocent man stands. Last thread of hope gone, broken and bitter. A storybook tale, he longs to be with her.
One night by the dim light he laid her down flat. He said in her ear, do you like that? And she laughed, kissed him, turned off the light. You'll sleep here with me tonight. You'll sleep here with me tonight. I lost what I had, and I don't belong. Everything I do seems to go wrong. Waiting around till you came along. Holding hands and promises of hope. Holding hands and promises of hope. She laughed, kissed him, turned off the light. You'll sleep here with me tonight. You'll sleep here with me tonight.
And that's Savage Cass with me tonight. Savage Cass are an Edinburgh-based duo, folk duo, who did some support at the Edinburgh Folk Club a couple of months ago as well. And you can find them myspace.com/Savage Cass. There'll be a link to them on the website as well, though. But that's the angle this week, and it's called With Me Tonight. Dave, tell us more. What's your angle?
Well, the song starts off.
Is this a depressing one, Dave? Sorry to butt in here, because it sounded a bit depressing when I listened to it. Bear in mind, I've been travelling for 12 hours to get away from the madhouse that was Stornaway, and I'm quite hungover. I don't know if I can deal with a depressing one again.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it turns out.
Okay.
Make it light-hearted, Angles.
It's the story
Make it
of
upbeat.
Can I get started? That would be, the first thing.
Do what you want, I don't know.
It's the story of a guy and a girl, and they meet and they get together, and they get involved. They get amorous and stuff like that. But the guy's been down on his luck.
We're not in the 19th century, Angles.
Anyway, the guy gets a bit down on his luck, or he's been a bit down on his luck, and he's not necessarily the most confident person. And he basically says, everything I do, it never works out quite right, and it's all been going pretty badly for me. But then you came along and you've given me hope,
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. Don't be so down on yourself. It's fine,
Oh, that's upbeat.
I'm with you
Sounds
now.
good.
It's all cool. You're going to sleep with me tonight. It's all,
things are
I
going
love
quite
you.
well for the guy.
Feel a bit better about yourself." So they're there. They're in bed. She's turned out the light, and they're just falling asleep and cuddling up. And then all of a sudden, this guy barges in.
Wait a minute. They've gone to sleep, and who barges in?
Just a guy. It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't really explain in the
Not
song.
specified.
It's a random stranger, a phantom of dark night, sort of barges in.
A phantom? Is he a ghost?
No,
he's real.
He's an unidentified person.
Sounds like the kind of scrape I could get myself into.
Anyway, we'll not linger on that.
We'll not go further into that. But he barges in and he says, "Look, if I can't have her, you can't have her either." So we assume he's like a former lover. He's
Okay.
or he's in love with her and he doesn't want to see anyone else with her.
Mm.
So he pulls out a gun and he shoots her.
Oh my god!
So this
Angles,
guy.
I thought you said this was an upbeat one.
I didn't say it was an upbeat one. I said we'd see what would happen.
Oh dear!
You knew what was going to happen.
You
though,
knew what
Angles.
was going to
You
happen.
Yes,
led us
I
down
did.
this
I
alley.
did. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
You're a dark horse, Angles.
So he kind of shoots her. So that this guy, well, he does shoot her.
Right.
He shoots her through the heart, and everything goes black, and she falls to the floor.
Angles.
This
is
he knows how to pick him, eh?
Right, okay.
Knights getting eaten by crows, women getting
Well, that's
shot.
why I thought I could sneak in a contemporary one, because it's a pretty grim tale.
Let's have no more discussion of the actual act itself
Well,
that's just taken place. We know what happened. Okay.
She's dead,
Cut the
and
cord.
he disappears, and then the cops come, as you'd expect.
I would hope so.
Because he's not caught. Our hero or fateful hero hasn't called them. Someone else has obviously called them, because they come in and he's
Right.
there with her. Like, he's been sort of trying to keep her alive, and he's got her blood on her hands,
Oh, no.
and they think it's him,
Oh,
and they
no.
arrest
It just
him,
gets worse.
and he goes to jail.
Oh, Angles, you know how to pick
And
him,
then he
eh?
goes back into his sort of spiral of doom and gloom, saying, whatever I do, it
That's
always
a
seems to go
really,
wrong.
really sad song.
Can I set you a challenge, Angles, to find a happy song for
A
the
happy
next show?
angle. Okay,
A
I'll
happy
take
angle.
that on.
Let's have a happy angle.
Have we had
next
a
show.
happy angle yet?
I don't think we've ever had a
Every
happy
angle.
Which the Westmoreland, the knight
Which
gets saved,
yeah, he
and
gets saved
immortal.
by sleeping with a
That's
half woman,
true.
half horse.
That's quite a nice one.
There may be downsides, though, depending on which way you look at it.
But
Let's
anyway,
not go
to
back
that
there.
one. What's the moral,
Well,
Dave?
Well, one I suppose is that if someone shoots the girl you're sleeping with, don't hang around until the cops turn up to catch you.
Angles, a dreadful moral. Think of another one.
Think of another one. Another
Instantly.
The moral is that
Look at him thinking on his feet.
I
Dance.
can't
Dance, Angles,
I can't,
dance.
there's no message that I take from the song other than don't get done for cripes. Well, I suppose don't let your misery take you over so that you end up getting.
It's just a
into
really
sticky
sad,
situations.
unfortunate song.
It is a
but beautifully sung.
But beautifully sung, yeah. The song wasn't unfortunate, just the content. But oh no, brilliant song, and hopefully we'll hear more from Savage Cast in the weeks to come. Dave, is that your angle?
Yes, it is.
Garden Sessions Letters Bound.
I don't know about you, but that jingle always blows me out of my chair. Who's got a letter? I think we've only got time for one this week.
I'll read one. Hi there. I'm trying to get a copy of your report from Knockengorach last autumn. Can you please send me a copy? We spent a lot of time in the tea tent when you were recording. I hope to see you again there next year. And cheers from Wendy Astle. The tea tent, I assume she means the acoustic village, the tea being served by Weirdigans Cafe.
next door.
Course, yeah, the wonderful establishment of Weirdigans.
They scammed Jack out of 5 pence and he's never forgiven them.
I had enough for
They
the tea.
made us move our tent.
No, I had enough for the tea. I just didn't have enough for the deposit for the cup.
Oh.
And they wouldn't trust me to pay 5p less on a 50p
Just when
deposit.
you're in your darkest hour
In fact, I
and
think it
really
was
needing a
less
cup
than
of tea at a
5p.
folk festival.
Festival
But
goers
anyway.
will understand. You need tea.
You do need tea. I had a cup on the ferry this morning that sustained me
It's useful having
across
tea.
the Minch.
And you would, I don't know. Well, anyway,
But
yes.
in answer to Wendy's question, yes, if you want to sort of send an email through to podcast@gardensessions.co.uk, if you have any problems like this, we'll try and get you sent out some kind of copy in MP3 or CD form or something
Absolutely
like that.
right, but for one detail, Angles, it's submissions at Garden. It's not. No, it's not that either.
How many are there? Jack, get it together.
It's back issues at gardensessions.co.uk if you want any old stuff that isn't already out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so that's the letters bag. Time for the featured artist this week, though.
Bobby and Eddie.
Bobby and Eddie of Rantum Scantum, who I met up with earlier on in the Bothy. We had a cup of tea and chatted over their new album, Home Ground. Let's hear that now. I'm joined in the Bothy now by two of, I would say Edinburgh's, but probably the folk scene in general's hardest working musicians, Bobby Nicholson and Eddie Hanson of Rantum Scantum.
Hello.
Welcome to the
Hiya.
Garden Sessions. Now you've just brought out a new album called Home Ground. This is the second Rantum Scantum album.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Now you've done other stuff through Bo Nasties and such, which we'll talk about a bit later on, but how did this album come about?
Well, it was recorded live in the Scotsman Lounge a few weeks ago, was it? Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Aye.
Yeah. And basically it's a set that we've been working up, and we've been looking to be doing another live album, and we thought we had the songs together for it at that point. And it's been quite a quick process, really, actually.
Live seems to be the way that you work for your albums. I mean, the last one was live as well. Obviously the recording of Hush, which made it to #1 in the Garden Sessions download chart.
Thank
That's
you.
a live recording as well. And the Bo Nasties one live. Is that a method that you prefer to likes of studio recording?
Especially for Rantum Scantum, yes. For the duo, it seems to give it a more earthy quality, and we can get into it better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes if you're in the studio, sometimes you can lose the kind of spark that you get when you play in front of a live crowd. I think that's essential for the duo, especially, I think.
And I mean, you combine something. It exists elsewhere, but it's quite defined as a Rantum Scantum sound, in that you have the electric fiddle with the acoustic sound of the guitar. Was that a conscious decision, or?
Well, really, I started using electric fiddle to avoid the problems you get with feedback with using an acoustic instrument live. So that's how that came about, apart from which it looks very trendy.
We're going to hear the first of 2 tracks that we're going to hear in this featured artist slot, though, which is from the album Homeground. Do you want to tell us which one you've chosen and why?
This first one is Barrett's Privateers. It was written by Stan Rogers, a Canadian guy, and he wrote it for the Fogerty's Cove album in 1977. We've teamed it together with a tune of our own devising called The Antelope, which has made an already long song even longer.
And it's a difficult one to remember all the lyrics to as well, but you seem to manage to get through it.
Well, it helps that we're actually doing it as a two-hander, so I'll take some lines and Bobby can have a breath.
Is that technically cheating? Or
no, it's creative.
Artistic effect.
That's one.
Artistic effect. Well, we'll hear that now. This is Barrett's Privateers and a tune called The Antelope.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yellow 1778, what's the wars and Sherlock now? The letter of market came from the king, and this vessel I ever seen. God damn them all! I was told sail, but she's from American gold. Hello, buddy, she had no tears. On board the man, Halifax Bean on the last of Ireland's famous years. I also Ballet Codderton, I wish I was in Sherlock now. For 20 men. No fishermen who make from the Antelope crew. God damn them all! I was told sail, but she's from American gold. Hello, buddy, she had no tears. On board the man, Halifax Bean on the last of Ireland's privateers. I got Antelopes looking at second-hand sight. I wish I was in Sherlock now. She lifts to a port and sails with rags. I think there are scummers on the staggers and jars. God damn them all! I was told sail, but she's from American gold. Hello, buddy, she had no tears. For board the man, Halifax Bean on the last of Ireland's privateers. I on the King's birthday was sailed away. Wish I was in Sherlock now. We were 91 days to Antigua Bay, pumping like madmen all the way. God damn them all! I was told sail, but she's from American gold. Hello, buddy, she had no tears. For board the man, Halifax Bean on the last of Ireland's privateers. Said again, I wish I was in Sherlock now. When the bloody Yankee hoping sights hot for putters, we met the fights and done them all. I was told sail, she's from American gold. Hello, buddy, she had no tears. On board the man, Halifax Bean on the last of Ireland's privateers. I that Yankee labelled down the gold. I wish I was in Sherlock now. She was broad and fat and loose these days. The Antelope 3 whole days. God damn them all! I was told sail, she's from American gold. Hello, buddy, she had no tears. On board the man, Halifax Bean and the last of Ireland's privateers. Express took 2 cables away. I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. Cracked 4 pounds spitting off of them. Electric drove 3 stovers and got damn them all. I was told sail the sea for American gold. Follow guns, she had no teeth. Broken man, Halifax speed and molested by its privateers. And the uncle of ship and thought I sailed. I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. Barrels and smashed with the ball of eggs. The truck took away both my legs. Just damn them all. I was told sail the sea for American gold. Follow guns, she had no teeth. Broken man, Halifax speed and molested by its privateers. I saw here away my 23rd year. I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. It's been 6 years since we sailed away. Just made Halifax yesterday. Got them all. I was told sail the sea for American gold. Follow guns, she had no teeth. The broken man, Halifax speed and molested by its privateers. Got them all. I was told sail the sea for American gold. Follow guns, she had no teeth. I'm a broken man with a Halifax spear. Sailed the sea for many long years. I'll never find a better man far and near. I'm a last of Irish privateers.
Rantum Scantum take on a classic folk song, Stan Rogers' Barrett's Privateers, and The Antelope, a tune written by Rantum Scantum. I'm joined by Rantum Scantum, Bobby Nicholson and Eddie Hanson in the Bothy as our featured artists on this week's Garden Sessions. And we're going to hear another track from them before the end of this. But before we go on, we're going to talk a little bit about the Bo Nasties. This is another, it's like a bigger band kind of thing that you're performing as well. Is that still Rantum Scantum, or is it a different project altogether?
It's completely different, really, but it's more, I would say it was more folk rock. We've got drums and bass involved. We tend to do far more original stuff with a larger 4-piece band. It's a different sound altogether, really.
And incidentally, we'll be in the studio in late July to record our totally original Bo Nasties album, and watch out for that.
And this will be the first studio album from you guys.
It will be
from the Bo Nasties, yeah.
So a rare treat in store.
Hopefully, yeah.
Now you guys perform pretty much every night of the week, year, decade, everything. I mean, you seem to be constantly gigging around Edinburgh, and I mean you do the odd gig outside of Edinburgh as well. How do you find that squares up with it? I mean, can you still enjoy the music and performing?
Oh yes, because I mean it's always a different audience. You may have played a song 1,000 times, but there's people out there who are hearing it for the first time, so it's always fresh.
And you never know what's going to happen either of a night, you know, good or bad, so it keeps it interesting, I think.
Well, we're going to hear the last track in just a minute from the album Home Ground. Before we do that though, I just want to mention the album cover.
Basically, I based it on a Hogarth.
How old are you guys, is the question.
We happen to be time travellers, it is true, and we got into our TARDIS and we took ourselves back to 18th century England and put ourselves into a Hogarth painting, basically.
Some would say that's a lot of effort to go to, but I don't know, for a good album cover, it could be worth it.
Well, thanks.
I mean, how did you guys get together in the first place? Because, I mean, Bobby, you're a Fife anyway, and Eddie, you're not.
I'm a Saxon, I'm from England. Hello, everybody. But
there is a track on the album which covers that.
Yeah, there is indeed, yes. The Devil came up to Edinburgh. But we were both working in 2 different bands. I was working with a band called The Prodigals, and Bobby was working with a band called Patsy Mac, and both bands were in the process of imploding when we got together. Yeah, we sort of met in the little look, as all musicians tend to do after gigs, as it was still the case now, I think. Yeah.
Well, let's hear the last song then before we go, from the album Home Ground. You said before that it's called Folk for Fife.
Yeah.
What made you choose that one?
Well, it's a sort of cautionary note to self, really, about the trouble you can get into as soon as you get off your own patch, you know. The first verse, for instance, just an unfortunate sequence of events that led to me getting lifted by the Durham police halfway through a gig, and missing half the gig because they couldn't get the breathalyzer to work. For instance, situations like that.
Yeah, sometimes travelling with Bobby is rather like travelling with Mr. Bean. He's incredibly accident prone.
Unlucky, I would call it, more than anything else.
Unlucky is probably the... Yeah,
we'll leave it at
unlucky is a better word. Okay. Well, so this is Folk for Fife. Thanks very much, Bobby and Eddie, for joining us on the Garden Sessions.
Cheers, Jack.
Thank you.
Tell him, Jack, you know what I say. It's something that you're back at in. They tap the band to buy some in. When you're parked outside the pub, the night of New Year's Day. The Durham police pull you, you've nothing else to do. They'll keep you there for ages in the backseat of the car. Not only do you miss the gig, they'll find you dead far. Parking in a double lane in the middle of the night. And you're Durham, you're back at in sight. Balaton, don't let the drummer drive. Don't listen to the lad who says we'll tap the motor anyway. You have to pull a water tank by pissing in the snow and see your wages disappear 100 blows. Sitting by the roadside and you find the cause. It's only -10 degrees and he's forgot the antifreeze. If you're living Balaton, you're planning to survive. Cars don't go and piss and snow to let the drummer drive. And you have to catch a plane. You can't get your boarding card, your passport's back in Walliford. You have to pay a taxi to get there and back again. You could have got the bus instead, the plane has been delayed. You're down in Stansted and you missed the other flights. There's no one till the next day, so you have to spend the night and buy the ticket and kept it on the flare. And you're stuck in Stansted, you'll be cussing by here. A fortune, don't argue with the guards. When you're paralytic drunk and he's only trying to wake you up, until he gets so cheeky and he knocks on your guitar and he'll chuck you up and through your phone, you'll knock him where you are. When you're doing your local and your tongue tight life, he suddenly says you got big, that's Barley's body right. Say the other hassle, can I give you this advice? You're just in legal trouble when you're playing folk free.
That was our featured artist Rantum Scantum, Eddie and Bobby there, and if you want to find out,
featured
it was indeed, and if you want to find out more about them, you can go to rantumscantum.com, or there's a link on the Garden Sessions, gardensessions.co.uk. If you want to see them, you can see them all over Edinburgh, Finnegan's Wake or Dropkick Murphy's. And that was all stuff from the new album Home Ground.
Indeed. And I believe Eddie was saying that we can look forward to some studio recordings as well in the next month or so.
They're fantastic.
They're very, very good. That was pounding stuff.
Podcast.
It's that call.
Oh, does that mean I can go to my bed now, Jack?
No, I think we've got to go to the Royal Oak now.
Oh, no. It's relentless.
The life of a garden sessions presenter.
It's relentless.
What is on next week's show, Tom?
We'll have the Folkie news. We'll be bringing you some stuff from the Hebridean Celtic Festival. Our featured artist will be Fraser Fifield of Fraser Fifield Bands, also played with Salsa Celtica. We'll have the official Garden Sessions download chart. Will Neil Thompson hold on for another show? The letters bag, Dave's angle, of course.
A happy angle.
A happy angle, yeah.
That's
Better
been
be a
promised.
happy angle. As well as all the best in new songwriting and traditional folk music, Jack.
And looking forward to all of that. The Hebridean Celtic Festival stuff should be really good. This has been the Garden Sessions anyway, available on gardensessions.co.uk. Contact us at podcast@gardensessions.co.uk. We'd love to hear from you whenever you do get in touch. And we're available on Radio Britfolk, radiobritfolk.co.uk, and 98.8 FM in the Edinburgh area, Leith FM.
Where Leith lives.
You see, they're in tow. All they need is a nod.
We get whipped if we do it wrong.
Well, till next time, from myself, Jack Foster, Tom Harland, and Dave the Angles Gimble, take it easy.
Cheerio.
Catch you later down the Folkie Trail.
Mm-hmm.